Good morning, folks. Thank you for joining us. We're going to start the webinar now. We've taken care of our technical difficulties. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm going to share my screen. All right, here we are. Again, thank you for joining us. My screen is, there we go. My name is Dave Shellmeyer, and I'm the director of the UT Tyler-Longview Small Business Development Center, or SBDC for short. Today, the SBDC is thrilled to host this webinar on the SBA HUBZone program featuring Kevin Sloan of the SBA. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few webinar house cleaning items in our webinar format. Your audio has been muted for the duration of the webinar, but you will be able to ask questions. Please post your questions in the chat room, and we will get to those in the Q&A period at the end of the HUBZone presentation. Just click on the chat room icon at the bottom of your screen and type away, and we will get to those. Before we get started with Kevin's HUBZone presentation, I'd like to give you a quick overview of the SBDC program and what our role and mission is as a resource partner of the SBA. Our mission is to provide at no cost business advising and consulting services to entrepreneurs and small business owners in order to help local small business start, grow, and thrive. We have our service areas you can see in red right there. It's Gregg, Harrison, Marion, Panola, Rusk, and Upshur counties of Texas. We have offices our primary offices in Longview. We have offices also in Marshall, Jefferson, Carthage, Henderson, and Gilmer. There are about 1,000 SBDCs across the country. Every county is covered by an SBDC. So if you're out of our service area, you can find your local SBDC and get some help there. Listed here is a small sampling of the services that we provide. In short, we help entrepreneurs start businesses and help small business owners grow their businesses to the next level. We also help business owners fix their businesses if they experience a bump in the road. We're seeing a lot of this with the economic crisis caused by COVID. The SBDC staff is staffed by experienced business advisors. And one of the best parts about what we do is that we provide our services at no charge to our clients. And I want to take this time to plug our upcoming live events, our one-on-one events. The first is this afternoon at Jodak Office Outfitters in Longview, hosted by Charles and Timberly Hall. They're the owners of Jodak. The second one-on-one live event is tomorrow afternoon at the George Washington Carver Community Center in Marshall, hosted by Angelita Jackson, the director of the center. As you can see the dates and times and addresses above. You do not need an appointment for this. Just drop by and visit with our government contracting and certifications expert, Paula Grabowski. And Paula can help you determine whether your business is eligible for HUBZone, Texas Hub, women, veteran, minority owned, or other certifications. Here's our contact information. If you're an entrepreneur wanting to start a business or a small business owner wanting to grow to the next level or needing to fix a problem with your business, please give us a call for a one-on-one consultation with one of our experienced business advisors. And again, our services are provided at absolutely no charge. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our presenter today, and that is Kevin Sloan. And Kevin Sloan he serves as a business opportunity specialist of the U.S. Small Business Administration at the Dallas-Fort Worth District Office. He advocates on behalf of the 84 small businesses in the 8A Business Development Program portfolio located in the 72 county coverage area of North Texas. Mr. Sloan helps facilitate federal contracting opportunities through counseling and mentoring within the programs he serves. He is an MBA graduate of Texas A&M University, Texarkana, and has served as a business opportunity specialist for 9 years at the DFW District Office of the SBA. And Kevin, thanks so much for joining us today. And I'll look forward to learning more about this important SBA program. And at this point, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and you can share yours.
Very good. Okay. Okay, and good morning to the folks that are on the line here today. And Dave, I thank you so very much for the warm introduction there, sir. Just give me just one quick moment. Let me share my screen to bring up my PowerPoint presentation.
And while Kevin's bringing up his screen, I just want to remind everybody this afternoon, our one-on-one event with Paula Grabowski in Longview, and tomorrow afternoon it's another event in Marshall. There we go. We can see your screen now, Kevin.
Okay, very good, and thank you again, Dave. And again, good morning, folks who's all on the line here today. Again, as Dave just alluded to, I'm Mr. Sloan with the U.S. Small Business Administration. I will be conducting today's presentations on behalf of the HUBZone program. Likewise, I will talk to you just a little bit in terms of some upcoming workshops that we will be conducting here with the U.S. Small Business Administration to just kind of give you a flavor of the types of certifications that is administered by the U.S. Small Business Administration. But primarily for the purposes here on today, we will be simply speaking on the HUBZone program, and I hope that the information that I will be presenting to you is informative to you, and then more importantly, that it sparks an interest for you as a desire to come into the federal HUBZone program. Okay, with that being said, the HUBZone program, and let me just go ahead and transition to the next slide here. As you can see depicted here, this is the HUBZone, which stands historically underutilized business zone. Okay, this is a certification that's at the federal government level. One thing that I do want to just kind of communicate to you, and that is with regards to the difference between the federal HUBZone and the Texas or state HUBZone. Okay, there is a difference, and the biggest difference is that one is at the state level and the other one is at the federal government level. Again, for purposes of what we'll be speaking about here on today will be from the federal government standpoint. So here's some key three items that of interest pertaining to the HUBZone program. It helps stimulate capital investment. It helps build capacity and to grow, and more importantly, to scale up your business, and then access to HUBZone set aside contracting dollars. Okay. Here's the program purpose for the HUBZone program. And as you can see, it just pretty much is kind of following on from the previous slide there. The opportunity for employment opportunities, okay, economic leverage, capital investment, okay, and this is what the HUBZone is all about, at least from the federal government standpoint. I'm almost certain that it's pretty similar to it from the state level as well. But again, this is the program purpose for the HUBZone program. Okay. Finishing on and continuing on with the HUBZone program purpose, the federal HUBZone was established in 1997. We're almost coming up on to a quarter of a century in terms of the federal HUBZone program being in existence. Okay, as it denoted there from bullet number 2 here on our first title screen slide, it fuels economic development in distressed areas by facilitating small business access. Keyword is access to federal government procurement or contracts. And what I mean by the access, this is not in terms of by obtaining the certification that it's a guaranteed that you will get HUBZone contracts, but by virtue of being a participant in the HUBZone program, it does provide access. So I just really want to kind of hone in on that word, the access. It's not an automatic in terms of the HUBZone contracts being awarded to you, okay? But we'll talk about that coming up in terms of how you can be able to gain access to that, okay? As you can see here depicted on this slide here, it's an interagency connecting, if you will, in terms of not only you as a small business owner, the HUBZone program, and then the federal government. Okay, so let's talk about those. Okay, from the federal government or federal agency standpoint, we set aside the contracts for HUBZone certified small businesses. Okay, in order to participate in the HUBZone program, you have to be certified. Okay, and so this is going to allow your opportunities to be that much more greater as opposed to the general population. Okay. The second piece of that would be to small businesses, which in this case would be for you guys as a small business owners or entrepreneurs. The ability to invest and hire from qualified hub zones. Okay, these are small businesses that we're looking for. Okay, and we're going to give you what the criteria is in order to gain access to the federal hub zone program. Okay, and this is for communities that we deem as distressed communities that can benefit from job opportunities and, more importantly, investment or revitalizing that distressed area. Okay, and you can see right there to the right, you can see where not only the federal agencies but the small business and the HUBZone program itself must interlock together as is depicted there. So this is just a team effort to be able to allow this to go, if you will, in terms of the HUBZone program. Okay. Also, too, before I go any further, I think they did make mention of that. If you got any questions and or comment, please put those in the chat box, and we'll make sure we get those answered for you. What I would like to do is simply hold all questions in terms of answering those or comments to the end of the presentation. Okay, so moving along, here we are again, continuing on with the HUBZone program purpose. Okay, provide federal contracting assistance to firms certified as qualified HUBZone small businesses concerns located in distressed and underserved locales. Okay, it increased the community employment opportunities, the ability to stimulate community capital investment, and then more importantly, to empower, keyword, empower communities through economic leverage. Okay, in order for you to be an active participant in the federal HUBZone program, key thing that needs to take place, your principal office must be located in a designated HUBZone area. So as you can see here where it speaks about view the map, this is the map or the website you'll need to go to determine whether or not your principal office is in a designated HUBZone area. Once you get to that main landing page, okay, it will show a depiction of the entire United States, and you can drill down starting with the state that you reside in or that your principal business is in. Okay, and you can drill all the way down to a zip code and or a street address. Okay, and it is virtual through via a interactive map. Okay, and once you get there, if that address or that zip code or whatever it is that's identifying your principal office, if it's located in that interactive map, then that means that it is deemed in a designated HUBZone area. Okay. Conversely, if you do not see that address or that zip code in that interactive map via this website that you can see here, then that means that it is not in a designated HUBZone area. Okay, so you want to let this be your first thing that you seek after in making sure that your principal office is in a designated HUBZone area. Okay, likewise, this is also where you will go to verify that your employees resides in a designated HUBZone area. So this interactive map to determine that is going to be very important. And this is what you need to start with before you even start going down the path of being in the HUBZone program. Let's make sure that your principal office is in a designated HUBZone area, as well as your employees, that they reside in a designated HUBZone area. Okay. And you will go to this interactive map to determine that. It takes all the it's definitive, so you don't have to be worrying about, okay, I'm wondering if this particular area is in the HUBZone, designated HUBZone area. If it's in that interactive map, then that means it is in a designated HUBZone area. So you don't have to worry about that, and if it's in there, that means it's definitive. Okay. This last bullet here, which is very important, And this is just recently just had a change to the program with regards to the maps. And as you can see there, all HUBZone maps are frozen through June of 2023. Okay. And then after that, they will be updated every 5 years. Okay. So right now is an excellent time. Okay. Because the maps are simply frozen based upon the data that we have up to this point, and they will be frozen until June of 2023. And the premise behind why it was extended out, because initially it was set out to the end of this year, December of 2021. But the premise behind it being extended out to June of 2023 is because there has been a delay on the U.S. Census. Okay, because of the pandemic. Okay, so we thought it was well, when I said we, meaning the program office, thought it was best fit that we freeze or have the maps to be frozen until June of 2023. So that increases your opportunity, okay? That you got a little bit of flexibility there, that you don't have to worry about, okay, for at least another year or so, that my area, it will be still considered in a designated hub zone area. So that's good information to know there, okay? Contracting incentives, okay? As I just alluded to you just a few moments ago, we have a number of certification programs that is administered by the SBA. Okay. Again, for the purposes of our webinar here on today, we're going to be strictly just simply talking about our HUBZone program. And as you can see there in the bottom right here on this slide here, there's a 3% contracting goal that we have to meet in terms of prime contracting dollars being divvied out to small businesses that qualify as a federal HUBZone participant. Okay. Our programs are no different from any other federal program or any other program that's out there that has a contracting goal measurement tied to it. Okay, so in this instance, for the HUBZone program, it's 3%. Okay, 3%, and that's what we have to get to. You, as a business owner, don't need to be concerned with that. That is more or less in-house through the program, the respective programs. In this case, we're speaking about the HUBZone 3%. That's more or less internally, so you don't need to be concerned with the 3%. That is just something that I just want to just kind of put out there, to just kind of let you know from a transparent standpoint that 3% is the mandated goal that we as an agency have to be, and not only the SBA, but for any federal agency that is participating in the HUBZone program. Okay. Okay. All right. The HUBZone program design, as I stated earlier, the SBA regulates and implements the HUBZone program. Okay, and what do we mean by that, Mr. Sloan? Okay, we determining which businesses are eligible, okay, through a set of criteria that you must meet if you want to gain acceptance into the federal HUBZone program. Okay, maintaining a listing of qualified HUBZone firms to fulfill procurement or contracting opportunities, and then adjudicating protest of eligibilities regarding HUBZone contract. This is what we do as the program office under the SBA for the HUBZone program. Okay. All righty. Moving along. The HUBZone program challenges. This program here is without its challenges. Okay. I think I got a slide that's coming up here. It's going to kind of give you a report card in terms of how we as an agency, and then more importantly, other federal agencies have been faring, for the last few years, if you will. Okay. With that being said, again, this HUBZone program is without its challenges as well. So let's talk about some of the challenges that this federal HUBZone program has had to encounter, if you will. Okay, small businesses were unable to maximize participation in the program because they encountered instability. Okay, and I'm not going to read all of these, but I just kind of take a look at these here. These are some of the challenges, and this is not an exhaustive list. Okay, but I just want to just kind of give you an idea of some of the things that we have had to encounter, or through the program office had to encounter in order to keep this program viable, if you will. You remember from some previous slide, the program was been in existence since 1997. Okay, and again, as I just shared with you, I'm going to talk and show you in terms of how we've been faring for the last fiscal years with regards to our contracting target goal, which is in this case 3%. Okay, so hopefully you can be able to take a look at these, some of the challenges that we faced with regards to the HUBZone program. Okay. Alrighty. With our challenges, we also have had some HUBZone program improvements, which was highly sought after. And as you can see depicted here on the slide here, these became effective in 2020, which was last year. Okay, and this is not an exhaustive list. There's others, other program improvements that we are that are in the pipeline, if you will, that will be taking place in the very near future. But for the purposes of here today, we have expanding and securing the footprint by adding distressed rural locations and freezing the maps to further empower communities. Okay, you remember on the previous slide, I showed you that the maps have been frozen into June of 2023, I should say. And so that's one of the benefits of, in terms of a program improvement to the HUBZone program. And we also have, from bullet number 2, stabilizing the eligibility by eliminating or reducing restricted requirements to encourage small business participation and investments in communities. Okay, I think it has been long known for quite some time now. It seems as though anytime you're dealing with the government, it seems as though it's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of red tape. And you got to keep in mind, folks, that the government is a huge machine. Okay, so things don't always go as seamless as possible, but we did recognize through some of the challenges that we want to try to streamline the process by eliminating redundancies and duplications, and just make the application process a lot more user friendly, if you will. Okay, so I think for those that have a desire to go into the federal HUBZone program, I think you will be well surprised and pleasantly surprised in terms of the ease of which applying for the federal HUBZone program. Okay, and then finally, that here on this third bullet here, improving the customer experience. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. We want it to be intuitive. We want to have a great customer experience. Okay, but keep in mind, we are dealing with technology, and at times technologies can have its challenges as well. So just kind of wrap your head around that process, that it's a part of the process. Do not allow that to deter you. But again, from the program office standpoint, we want to definitely make sure that we improve customer experience. Okay, and again, I just alluded to that by streamlining the application. Okay, and then once you gain access into the federal HUBZone program, there's a recertification process that takes place also, and we'll talk about that upcoming on some upcoming slides here. Okay, so these are some of the program improvements, just like how we just talked about here from the previous screen. These are some of the program challenges of the federal HUBZone program. Okay, all right, so we had challenges. These are some of the improvements, and here's the benefits of being in a HUBZone program. Okay, as I've already alluded to you, the government is mandated, keyword mandated, to award 3% of all prime contracting dollars to HUBZone certified firms. Okay, if you didn't know, and I don't know if I maybe have this a part of my presentation. Okay, understand that the federal government is the largest purchasers of goods and services on the planet, folks. Okay, to the tune of about $600 million. Okay, so excuse me, I stand correct, $600 billion. Okay, with regards to that. So again, the federal government is the largest purchaser of goods and services on the planet. So can you imagine 3% of $600 billion? Okay, that's quite a bit of money that's out there on the table for the HUBZone program that you can be able to take advantage of from the federal government perspective. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind. Okay, with regards to this HUBZone program. Okay, contracting mechanisms. Okay, there will be specific contracts set aside for those that certify as a HUBZone participant. Okay, this will not be available to the general public. Okay, only those that have maintained and gained acceptance into the HUBZone program will be eligible and privy to these contracts set aside that is specifically for HUBZone participants. Okay, sole source awards, again, that's set aside that is for participants in the HUBZone program. Okay, and then there's an application of a 10% price evaluation preference. Keyword is preference applied to full and open competition. So that will be anything other than sole source or set aside. This will be open to full and open competition. So basically open to anybody. And as you can see in the parentheses there, it only applies to large businesses and not to small businesses. So you can see here, we're trying to open up every possible avenue to gain more participation into the federal HUBZone program. And again, this is just a sampling size of the program benefits for those that have a desire to come into the federal HUBZone program. Okay. Now, let's kind of get to the crux of it. Okay, if you have a desire to come into the federal HUBZone program, there is, and we're no different from any other programs that are out there. We just happen to be at the federal government level with regards to that, but we will not be without eligibility requirements. Okay, that's just part of the culture, if you will, or the dynamics, if you will. So the HUBZone program has some eligibility requirements to be able to gain acceptance in there. You as a small business owner, if you have a desire to come into the federal HUBZone program, this is what you need to do. Okay, first and foremost, you must be a small business. This program or any of the programs that is administered by the SBA, you must be a small business. Okay, to determine that is based upon the small business size standard. There's a table that you can look at based upon your NAICS code. Hopefully you guys understand what I mean about NAICS code, which stands for North American Industrial Classification System. For each business owner that's out there that is operating in the federal government spectrum, you will have a unique 6-digit numerical number assigned to what it is that you present to the business sector, either in the form of a service or a product. Okay, so there's a NAICS code that's assigned to that. Along with that NAICS code, it's going to give you your size standard to determine whether or not your business is considered small for SBA purposes. Okay, bullet number 2, you must own as 51%, own and control, okay, your business. Okay, and 51% is that threshold. Okay, not 48, not 49, not 50. It needs to be 51% or more, owned and controlled. Okay, it cannot be like a shell company or somebody else running it for you. It has to be you as the individual. Okay, and all of that is a part of the vetting process that would take place to vet your application in terms of gaining acceptance into the 8A business, the federal HUBZone program. Okay. Bullet number 3 and bullet number 4 is going to be the crux of the eligibility requirement, and I've already alluded to that a little bit earlier. Your principal office, okay, the single location at which the greatest number of your employees perform most of their work is located in a HUBZone. Okay. So remember we talked about earlier, there's an interactive map where you go to determine and find out whether or not your place of business, in this case, your principal office, is located in a federal HUBZone area. Okay, you must do that first. There's no need to do anything else because you don't want to be going down a rabbit path here, or a rabbit trail rather, and only to find out that, okay, I've done all of this information, I've done all of this research, I've started all of this, and only to find out that your location is not even in a designated hub zone area. Okay, so let's be smart about what we're doing and be prudent. And let's do first thing first. Let's determine whether or not your principal office, as well as your employees, reside or is in a designated hub zone area. Okay. The final bullet here. Okay. At least 35% of your employees must reside in a designated hub zone area. And again, you determine that through the interactive map. Okay. To determine whether or not your employees reside in a designated hub zone area. Okay. Now, you as the business owner can count as an employee in that 35% threshold. Okay. The only thing is that you yourself as the owner must reside in a designated hub zone area. Now, the principal office as well as residents can all co-locate in the same designated hub zone area, just so long as it's in a designated hub zone area. And then conversely, if they're not in the same locale or the same designated hub zone area, that's okay as well, just as long as that it's in a designated hub zone area. And again, you determine that through the interactive map. Okay. And that 35% is a hard stop. Okay, there's no flexibility or wiggle room, at least at the initial application. Okay, with regards to that. So let's just make sure that you put a check in a box for that 35% of the employees residing in the hub zone area. And again, owners, business owners, you yourself can count as an employee in that 35% threshold, just so long as you reside in a designated hub zone area. Okay. All right. Again, this is kind of just re-emphasizing from the previous screen here. HUBZone program. Again, we kind of talked on these right here. I just want to just kind of just re-emphasize the requirements to get into the federal HUBZone program. But I do want to draw your attention to the bottom of this slide where it speaks about the note. Okay, HUBZone is a qualified census tract. Okay, what I mean by that, Mr. Sloan. What I mean by that, the SBA does not put in place what areas are going to be determined a designated area, a designated hub zone area, if you will. There's another federal agency that administers that makes that decision. Okay, and that other federal agency is the Bureau of Census. Okay, you remember what I shared with you just a few moments ago, where the maps were frozen until June of 2023, and the reason behind it because the most recent census had not taken place or has been delayed, from my understanding. Okay, so therefore maps were frozen in place until June of 2023. Okay, though they are frozen in place based upon the Bureau of Census. And again, the Bureau of Census is the agency that determines what and what will not be considered a federal hub zone designated area. Okay, it is not the SBA. All the SBA does, as long with any other federal agency that is participating in the hub zone program, is simply follow the lead from the Bureau of Census with regards to what they have put in place, what are considered designated hub zone areas. Okay, so if you have a complaint, it is not with the SBA on a particular area that you may deem or feel that it should be in a hub zone area, based upon the definition of a hub zone area. And as we talked about, those are typically like distressed communities, where there's high unemployment, et cetera, okay? Again, the definitive and the authoritative source is going to be that interactive map, folks, okay? So if that address, if that zip code is in at that interactive map, okay, that means it's in a designated hub zone area according to the Bureau of Census, okay? They are the one that quarterbacks that, okay? And all we do as an agency, okay, is simply feed into that, okay? and we just simply just follow what they have put in place for designated HUBZone areas. Okay, so do please keep that in mind. Okay, not the SBA, but the Bureau of Census is the one that sets up the census tract to determine what areas are deemed HUBZone designated areas. Okay, here's a report card that I talked to you about. Okay, now you're going to see some other data on here. Okay, but for purposes of what we're speaking about here on the webinar today is we're going to be speaking strictly on the federal HUBZone, which is at the bottom line item entry, if you will. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, as you can see, most of the data that's collected for the line item for HUBZone, you see it's captured in red. Okay, and typically red means that it's not doing well at all. It's a sign that it is poorly performing, if that's a good word to use for that. Again, I wanted to be transparent. Also, too, just to kind of put the light on this federal HUBZone program. Okay, so folks, here's what it's been for us. Okay, and likewise, I think it's also for other federal agencies that are participating in a HUBZone program. And remember, these programs are governed by contracting goals. Okay, as you can see depicted here. Hopefully, you can see this from your vantage point. These are goals, contracting goals that we have to meet. Okay, and you remember what I shared with you for the federal HUBZone, it's a 3% mandated goal that we must adhere to, either meet or exceed. Okay, so we're going to use the sample data, if you will, from year FY 2019 and FY 2018. Let me just pause here just for a moment. In the federal government, we do not follow a traditional calendar year. We follow a fiscal year. Our fiscal year in the federal government starts 1 October to 30 September. Okay, so the information that you see on here, yes, okay, this is from previous years. We do not have the data as of yet for FY 20. Okay, which that fiscal year has already ended. Okay, and remember what I shared with you. You know, the government is a huge machine, folks. Okay, so information don't always readily make itself available in terms of real time. But just to give you an idea, I just wanted to be, again, transparent in terms of where we've been faring with regards to a report card, if you will, and the goals that we have to meet with regards to our programs that are administered by us. Okay, so again, the HUBZone, we have a 3% mandated goal. So in FY 2019, you see that we fell short there at 2.28%. However, still to the tune of about almost $12 billion, $11.4 billion. That's billions with a B, folks. Okay, so that's still quite a bit of money as well. Okay, but nonetheless, we did not meet the threshold. Okay, and again, in FY 2018, we dipped even further down at a 2%, at a little over 2%, at the tune of almost $10 billion. Okay, so one might ask or say, is that surely 3% should be very doable to accomplish. That has not been the case for us. You remember I talked to you about some of the challenges, okay? And remember I shared with you that was not an exhaustive list, okay? Meeting this 3% threshold contracting goal has been a challenge not only for the SBA, but for many federal agencies that has that reporting to tied to its contracting component, okay? Again, you as the business owner or the entrepreneur, you don't need to be concerned with this. This is more or less in-house, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea where we at with regards to the program. And that's the very reason why, if I didn't state that early on, the federal HUBZone program is going through a revamping or rebranding, okay, to mitigate these dismal contracting goals that we've been having for the last few fiscal years. We're hoping on the new data that should be coming out soon, and we hopefully that will be soon for FY20, that we can see a nice trajectory in terms of that, where we're either meeting or exceeding. But we will hopefully we'll get that information in the very near future, and then of course when we get that information, we'll make sure we update this slide accordingly. Okay, but again, 3% seems like it's a very doable number to reach and or meet. And exceed is rather, but again, folks, it's been a challenge for us. And one might ask, okay, what's causing it? From my vantage point, I believe that we have to do a better job at messaging. Okay, like events like we're doing here on today with the good folks with Day and his team, champion this program, getting the word out. What we found out that it's a lot of folks do not know about some of the programs that the SBA is involved with. Okay, and so in platforms and venues like where we're conducting here on today, we're trying to do a better job in terms of champion and getting the word out on the various programs. And in this case, what we're speaking about here today on the HUBZone program. Okay, this is a federal program, folks. Okay, there is readily available money available for those that are participants in these various certification programs that you can be able to take advantage of. Okay, and it's money left on the table. Okay, with regards to these contracts, if you will. So again, just like in anything, if it's not used properly or it's mismanaged, then there's a strong possibility that the program will be done away with. Okay, and that's not going to serve anyone well. Okay, it won't serve you well as the small business owner. Okay, it won't serve the program well, and then more importantly, the premise behind the HUBZone program is to help revitalize distressed communities. Okay, so that community is left without as well if this program goes away. So again, folks, I just want to just kind of emphasize the need for us to get more attention on this HUBZone program. Okay, this is a program, a federal program that is out there ready and open for business. Okay, and we need to garner more participation into this program, and then more importantly, either meet or exceed our contracting goals so we can keep this program alive. Okay. I think you hopefully you got a good summary, if you will, in terms of how we've been reporting for our various programs that is administered by the SBA. Okay, so these are our numbers right here. Okay, so you can kind of take those with a grain of salt and kind of digest that. If you got any further questions with regards to that, you can simply put that down in the chat queue, if you will. Okay, HUBZone program contracting activities. Okay, remember this information is just kind of here, just kind of give you an idea what we've been doing for the last few fiscal years. Okay, I kind of presented that to you here on this slide here, but we got it here also too in a narrative standpoint, if you will, just kind of reemphasizing, just kind of tell you where we've been with the with our goals and the dollar amounts that have been assessed through the various fiscal years for the HUBZone program. But you do see something that is very constant here. You can see that for all of these fiscal years, the column here, and hopefully you guys can see my cursor here, this is still well below the 3%. Okay, and this has been for a number of years, folks. Hey, I'm just going to be forthright with you. Yeah, this has been going on for quite a bit of time, and we are at a point right now that this is front and center through the program office out of Washington, D.C., which is headquarters for the SBA, to get this turned around expeditiously. Okay, this is the number of firms. Okay, number of firms that are HUBZone participants for the various respective fiscal years. Okay. So there you have it. Okay. Okay, continuing on HUBZone program contracting activity. Okay. Aggressively engaging with acquisition community to improve HUBZone contracting performance. Okay. In 2017, if you want to take a snapshot of that, for those, you can just take a picture of my slide there. You can go to that website to see a published article back in 2017. Okay. And believe that was a success story. Okay. And again, talking about that 3%, achieving that 3% goal there. This is important, folks, for the agency. And you guys can play a critical part in that and helping us either meet and or exceed that 3% threshold. Okay. Bullet number 3 there. In 2020, remember I stated that we kind of went through a rebranding of the federal HUBZone program. All of that took place in 2020. Okay. In 2020, we also launched a early engagement initiative, or EEI as we like to call it, to increase the procurement readiness of firms applying for the certification. You remember I shared with you some of the improvements is to streamline the application process. Okay. At times, for some folks, it was a daunting process. And remember, I shared with you, the federal government is a huge machine, folks. So even with these different types of programs that is administered through the federal government, we want to do our due diligence in terms of making this streamline and increasing our footprint, if you will, with regards to the HUBZone program. And we're going to be doing that through via the EEI initiative, if you will. Okay. And thus far, we've garnered a lot of support with regards to that. Also, too, in this sub bullet to this bullet here, let's talk about that. Okay. And let's kind of read that here. Through the EEI initiative, okay, it mobilizes client-facing resources. Okay, now on the client-facing resources right now, that's kind of been put on pause because of COVID. Okay, but at some point we're going to resume that, where we will be reaching out and being front and center, if you will, face to face with our clients or potential clients. Okay, through our SBA district office, our PCRs, our procurement center representatives, PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, also at Day's new facility. And Day, I don't know if you guys and you and Paula knew about this, the early engagement initiative. Okay, the small business SBDCs is going to play a critical role in that, because you guys have an audience, if you will. You got, and Day talked about this initially when he started his introduction, the areas that they are responsible for or that they cover. Okay, and the small business development centers is going to be equipped to help in this initiative and helping would-be or potential clients, okay, in the federal HUBZone program. And you'll be able to do like some of the screening process before it is uploaded and being processed and vetted by the program office out of Washington, D.C. Okay, so not only the SBDCs, the PTAC, even our own SBA district offices, all of this is going to be a concerted effort, okay, and again, in an effort to get more maximum participation and engagement in the federal HUBZone program. Okay, and note what it says there, highlighted in yellow. These different, and it's like what we like to call it, the SBA likes to call it, our resource partners, will help applicants navigate the certification process more smoothly. Okay, it's nothing more frustrating to be out there trying to complete an application and you don't understand what it is that is being asked of you. And sometimes, you know, you just need a little bit more help to make sure that, okay, you're answering the questions properly, because you don't want to be answered to only find out that, you know, a determination was made as negative, or you were not allowed into the program, or a denied application. So that's time expended that you cannot get back. The good thing about it, that none of the programs that is administered by the SBA, along with our resource partners, there's no cost associated. So it's free of charge, folks. Okay. So the only thing that you would be out of, if that unfortunate thing was to take place, would be just your time. Okay. So you do not need to be concerned with a cost being associated with any of our certification programs that is administered by the SBA through our local and resource partners as well. Okay. HUBZone geographical areas. Okay, we kind of touched on this just a little bit, but just going to kind of dive a little bit more off into it. some geographical areas, okay, will be considered like base closures. If you got a base nearby you that is due to close through a BRAC, if you will, those will be eligible for at least 8 years, okay, as a designated hub zone area. And that too will be depicted in that interactive map that I talked to you about earlier, okay? Changes will be published online every 5 years. We've already talked about that. They will be done every five years, okay, with regards to those maps once they become unfrozen in June of 2023. And after they make that update, and hopefully by then the census will be completed, and then we can be able to draw that data in to make the determinations on, in concert with the Bureau of Census, what areas continue or what areas will not be in the designated hub zone areas. Okay, here's something that was a program benefit or improvement, not benefit, but an improvement. But I guess you could look at it as a benefit as well. Now, governors of each state can petition the SBA for hub zone designations of places, okay? Because keep in mind, even though the SBA is at the federal government level, but our eyes and ears are not in every place. So therefore, we're depending on the states, okay, to help us in this. And so now, of recently, now the governors of each state can petition the SBA on potential areas that they may be deemed as hub zone areas, okay? Now, only the governors can do this, folks, okay? And again, this is one of the program benefits, if you will, or improvement that was put before the SBA, and we adopted it. Okay, so now the governors of each state can petition the SBA for what would be designated hub zone areas. Okay, also along with that would be or outside of urbanized areas. Okay, have populations not exceeding 50,000, and then unemployment rates of at least 120% of the average unemployment rate. Okay, so all of those will kind of will factor into, from the governor's standpoint, on areas that could be deemed as designated hub zone areas. Okay, so that's a good thing there. Okay, but again, only the governors of each state can be able to do just that, not the general population. Now, what you can do, and again, as I shared with you earlier, that's not with the SBA. You'll have to take that up with the Bureau of Census. And then your arguments will be, the merits of your arguments will determine whether or not the Bureau of Census will adopt your recommendation. Okay. Again, but that's not with the SBA. All right, hub zone eligibility determination, cycle times for processing. I know one or maybe many out there may be saying, well, how long does it take to get your application approved? Okay, here it is, folks. Okay, the cycle time for processing initial eligibility determination will be reduced from 90 days to 60 days. Okay, so 30 days have been knocked off of that. Okay, and this was another improvement. Okay, to the federal hub zone program. Okay. For recertification, this is after you get into the HUBZone program. The recertification process now will be done similarly to like when you first came into the program. So let's just read that here. Recertification will change from the current submission of a certification document to a fully documented review, okay? Akin to the determination of the initial eligibility. So it'd be almost similar to like your initial eligibility, okay? But again, you don't need to worry about this recertification. You would only need to worry about this once you come into the program, okay? You don't need to be concerned with that at the initial application process. Okay, again, cycle time. It was 90 days, now 60 days, okay, to apply for the HUBZone program. Okay. I put this off in here with regards to residency. Okay. You remember I shared with you your employees that 35% of your employees must reside in a designated hub zone area. Okay. And this is some of the items that we will look for to determine and verify that your employee or even you as an employee in that 35% threshold to determine whether or not we can put a check in the box for residency. Okay, I'm not going to read through all that, but you can kind of see that. And if you got a camera phone of some sort, you can take a picture of this slide here. Okay, and so this is some of the criteria pertaining to the HUBZone rule for residency. Okay. Okay. Again, also too, this will take place once you get into the HUBZone federal into the HUBZone certification program. Okay, what would take place? You will participate in a site visit. Right now, currently, we're not doing any face-to-face site visit. We're doing those virtually at this point. Until otherwise noted, we will continue along that path until we get some different information where we can resume going back face-to-face and coming out physically to your business for a site visit. Okay. Also, to the ability to meet HUBZone criteria, maintain SBA standards. Okay, this is all a part of just like a continuing eligibility. Okay, and then you will be recertifying annually. Okay, at first it used to be, I think it was every 3 years. Now you're going to be recertifying every 1 year or annually. Okay, that too was another improvement to the HUBZone program. It went from every 3 years being recertified to every year. Okay, on an annual basis. And again, this slide right here pertains to those that are already in the HUBZone program. But I thought it was okay and thought it was fit just to go ahead and just still share that with you, so you can kind of have some kind of inkling or an idea of what it's going to be like once you get into the HUBZone program, and what you have to do to continue to maintain the standards of being in that HUBZone program. Okay. Okay. HUBZone rule, again, this is just continuing on for those that are in the HUBZone program. And again, remember what I shared with you, it moved from every 3 years to a 1 year requirement. So it's just basically emphasizing this screen here, this slide here. Just now you just have it in a narrative standpoint. Okay. And that's for recertification. Okay. We're almost near the end of our presentation here, but I thought this is very important right here for those that definitely have a desire to come into the federal HUBZone program. If you got some questions, some ongoing questions, that you can be able to utilize these various websites to get some information with regards to the HUBZone program. And yes, you can go to this first bullet here. That's the main landing page, if you will, for the federal HUBZone. Okay, that's where you can check the website and checklist. Okay. Also, again, bullet number 2, which is probably even more important, this is where you go view the interactive map to determine whether or not your principal office and or your employees reside in a designated HUBZone area. You find that out there at the interactive maps, okay? It takes all the guesswork out. You don't have to be scratching your head wondering, okay, is this in a designated HUBZone? Just simply go to the map and it'll tell you one way or the other definitively, okay? If you have specific questions, okay, that goes beyond, our time here on this webinar, because I don't know where this webinar in terms of this reach, okay, here is the email, okay, that you can pose questions to and get a response back directly from the program office, okay? And then probably another added bonus here, okay, with regards to the program office has set up a help desk. This too was a program improvement for the HUBZone program, okay? And there's an open call that's done every Tuesday and Thursday, okay? So the next one will take place on tomorrow. And if you like it, it takes place at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And again, as I just shared with you, I don't know what our reach is on this webinar, but just understand that it's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is your opportunity to talk directly with the program office, okay? Directly with the program office to get any questions and or comments answered, okay? And that conference call or that open call is dictated by the number of questions and or comments that are presented at that time. And if they don't have very many, they would just simply end the call and then resume it for the next scheduled time. In this case, it will be Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. So those open calls are driven by your questions and or comments. Okay. And again, please make note of the phone number as well as the access code to gain acceptance into that open call that takes place on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay. Just like in the federal government, and I'm sure it's no different from those out there, other entities, you know, we have rules and regulations that we have to govern by. These are the statutory regulations and guidance or procedure notices that are in place that governs the federal HUBZone program. Okay, so please make note of that. Okay, so if you're ever in questions, you can always go to our regulations to find out, because that's how we are governing these various programs. So please make note of these. Okay, very good information, and you want to make sure you're on with the right information as well. Okay, because you know that information is key. Okay, being informed is key. So just make sure you educate yourselves. Make sure you be well versed in the programs that you're deciding to go into. Okay, and follow the rules and regulations pertaining to those various programs. Okay. So again, I want to just kind of put that information there for you so you can just at least have that, and hopefully if you can take a screenshot of that or a camera shot of that, just for future references. Okay. Identifying contracting opportunities. This is probably something that's also equally important. Okay, in the federal government. Okay, I don't know if you ever heard of SAM, but SAM, which stands for Systems Award Management. Okay, in order for any kind of contract to be awarded to you from the federal government, you must have an active profile in SAM.gov. Okay, SAM.gov. Okay, that needs to be your top one or two things to do, along with determining whether or not your business is in a designated HUBZone area. Okay, but again, folks, a contract, whether it be a HUBZone contract or any other type of federal contract, in order for that to be awarded to your business, you must have an active SAM registration on file. Okay, and you can simply go to sam.gov, sam.gov, to get further information. That is not done with the SBA. That's done with another federal agency. That federal agency is the General Services Administration, or as GSA, as it's commonly known as GSA. They are the author of sam.gov. Okay, I simply put that on there because that's going to be the authoritative source to determine whether or not you got an active profile in sam.gov. Okay, and bullet number 2 here for current contracting opportunities. Okay, now that you have obtained your certification, okay, where do I go find contracting opportunities at? Okay, so make note of this website here. This is where you go look for current contracting opportunity, not only for HUBZone, but for any other federal contract out there. Now, in this database portal, whatever you want to call it, you will not see anything in there in terms of contracting opportunities from city, state, local, commercial. Only federal contracting opportunities will be at this website. Okay, so do please keep that in mind. Furthermore, at this website, any and all contracts that you see publicized at this portal, okay, has a dollar amount assessed to it at $25,000 or higher. Okay, you will not see a contract at this portal, beta.sam.gov, below $25,000. Okay, so just understand when you get to this portal, any and all contracts that you see in there, they're going to be at $25,000 or higher. Okay, federal government contracts, only federal government contracts are at this portal. Okay, at beta.sam.gov. That's where you go look for federal contracting opportunities, folks. Okay, now keep in mind, beta.sam.gov is a public domain, if you will. So this is open to the general public. Okay, but here's the one thing that is unique, okay, with regards to SAM. SAM has all of federal contracting opportunities in there, but not everybody can apply. Okay, so in order to apply, you have to have the certification. Okay, so when you go to beta.sam.gov, you're going to see contracting opportunity, excuse me, for HUBZone. Okay. If you have that certification, then you're open to applying and going after that contract for HUBZone. Not everybody's going to be able to do it. So that puts you in a smaller pool. Okay. That greater increases your opportunity of securing that contract. Okay. You will not be competing against the masses, because the masses can't compete if they don't have the respective certification. Okay. And it's just not exclusive to HUBZone. Okay. It's HUBZone, women owned small business, 8A. Okay. Total small business. All of those are in there. Small businesses. Okay. That's where you'll see. And again, beta.sam is open to the general public. So this is where the masses go to look for contracting opportunities. Okay. So again, utilize the filtering system, because I've been told that in beta.sam, when you're looking for contracting opportunities, you can be in there all day and all night, folks. Okay. So it is a vast database or a portal, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Make sure you utilize the filtering system. Okay. That just FYI there with regards to that portal there. Okay. Resources. Okay. You can't do anything without resources, and make sure you tap on those resources, folks. Okay. That's what they're there for. Okay. PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Remember, we talked about them a little bit earlier. They're going to be greatly assisting in the EEI initiative, the Early Engagement Initiative, okay, for helping streamlining and getting your applications kind of easily vetted and getting them in proper structure to submit to the program office. So PTAC can help you with that. The good folks over where Day is at, his development center, as well as any and all other small business development centers, you can be able to get some assistance with regards to that, and then other assistance, which they talked about earlier in his opening remarks. Okay, folks, tap on these. That's what they're there for. Okay, utilize them. Okay. These and you can't do it all by yourself, so you need the resources. So make sure you tap on them. SCORE is another resource partner, and SCORE stands for Service Corps of Officer Retired Executive. These are folks that actually have ran businesses before. Okay, and you can utilize their service, and most, if not all, of these services are free of charge. Okay. So you will never get caught off guard and say, wait a minute, it will be fully made known to you if there is a cost involved. So do not get deterred by that. Okay. And I believe they spoke on that earlier as well, that most, if not all, of their services at their small business development center are free of charge, just like how it is with the SBA as well. Okay. If you're ever in question, you can always ask the question. Okay. That's the website there for. And then for BBOP, for those that have served in the military, that's a resource that you can be able to utilize to get some assistance, not only with the HUBZone, but for any other type of assistance that you deem necessary. Okay. HUBZone, some additional HUBZone webinars that you can take advantage of over and above this one that you're sitting through here on today. Okay. Make note of these. It looks like a lot of these, if not all of these, are on YouTube. Okay. That's a good resource there as well. You can get some more information about the HUBZone with regards to that. So hopefully you can be able to take a snapshot of that. Okay. I'll hold it here just for a few moments before I progress to the next slide. Okay. And folks, that concludes our webinar presentation here on today. If you got any questions, I believe Paula put that in the chat for you to put them there if you have them. I'd be more than happy to entertain them. And if I don't have
questions.
Okay. And Paula, before we get going with that, let me just go ahead and go to the next slide here. I believe they put this up earlier, but this is my contact information. So feel free to reach out to me there. Okay. And then likewise, we always like to get feedback in terms of how we're doing, things that we can improve upon. So if you can indulge us, okay, greatly appreciate if you can give us some feedback in terms of how we're doing and what have you. We'll be greatly appreciative. Please make note of that website there. Okay, we're all in the business of customer service and customer experience, and if we need to do something better, we're definitely open to that. Okay, and then you can also follow us on any and all of our social media platforms with regards to any and all programs, webinars, trainings that we may be a part of, and to include events as well. You can follow us on our social media platforms. Okay. And that will conduct it. Now, one other thing too that I did want to say that I did not share in my presentation, and I think I said this at the very top of the presentation, is that we conduct a monthly certification workshop to include this HUBZone that I kind of segmented out for you guys here on today. Okay, we will be talking about our other monthly certification programs that we do, that we administer. We hold that every first Wednesday of each month. The next one that's due up will be on August 4th. The start time for that would be 10 o'clock. Okay, and it does a top down of the various types of certifications that is administered by the SBA. Okay, so just look to our social media platforms if you want to be a part of that. And again, that will take place on the first Wednesday of each month, starting at 10 o'clock. And you can just get the information to sign up for that via our social media platforms, or more importantly, you can go onto our main landing page, or you can reach out also to our resource partners. They would have that information as well. Okay. So with that being said, Paula, I am ready. If you got any questions that were presented and/or comments, ma'am.
Okay, I do, and I'm going to combine a couple of them because some of them were related. Can you hear me okay, Kevin?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, the first three I think are going to be yes or no's. Is this only available to U.S. citizens or U.S. residents only?
Very good question. I know what was stated on my presentation was for U.S. citizens, but here's what I will share with you. Those in the event that it's not a U.S. citizen, then those will be based upon a case-by-case basis. Okay. Also, too, keep in mind that this application process, there will be an analyst, a live individual, a human interaction, if you will, that will be vetting your application. Okay. So this will be a question or a comment to that analyst, and then they can make the determination on whether or not the opportunity could be made available for those that are not a U.S. citizen. I don't want to be in a position where I give you misinformation. This, again, will come directly from the program office. And remember, this is a question that you can ask on that open call that is held on every Tuesday and Thursday to get, or you can send them an email to that point as well, if you don't want to wait, okay, to get an answer with regards to that. So those will be done on a case-by-case basis. But as it stands right now, it appears that it's just for the U.S. citizens. But I would not rule it out without at least raising the question and let the program office give you a definitive answer on that.
Okay. And then someone asked, is there any deadline to apply?
There is no deadline to apply other than once you put together a successful package, and I got to emphasize successful, okay? It's nothing more, what's the right words I want to use here? I guess make the process go longer when we are piecemealing application or incomplete application. And that's the very reason why the program has instituted or implored our resource partners to help us with this initiative, okay, in terms of getting the word out. But to answer your question, there is no deadline, okay? The only deadline will be is that once we get a completed package and you get that up there and upload that through electronic means, that it goes from 90 days to 60 days to get a determination. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah. Kevin, question is, how long do I have to be in business to get certified or to qualify for the program or the capital? Are these available for new businesses?
Very good. Excellent question. Excellent question. And you know, and when you're doing webinars, you can't put everything off in there, but that's a very good question. Typically, across the boards, whether you're doing anything with the SBA or not, you need to be in business for at least 2 years. You need to have a baseline to work from. Okay. Now, we're not in the business of dashing folks' dreams. Okay. Say, listen, you know, you woke up one day and say, hey, listen, I want to start a business. You may not be quite ready at the federal government level, but however, there may be some traction you can be able to get while you're waiting to get at the federal government level at our local resources like the Small Business Development Center, and you can reach out to them to see if they can be able to provide some assistance to you while you're waiting to get on to the federal government to partake in their programs. Okay, but ideally 2 years. You need to be operational for 2 years. Okay.
Okay, and then I'm going to combine these next two questions because they were related, so they sound similar. One participant says, do you have to have both employee and principal office in the zone? And another, Anthony Johnson says, do employees need to be located in a hub zone or my physical business in one of those zones?
Okay. Okay. So let's break this up a little bit. Okay. And I tell you what, I'm sure that my slide is still. Are you able to still see my slide from your vantage point, Paula?
I can, yes.
Okay, so hopefully they can see that. So let's go back and take a look at that. Okay. Excuse me. Your principal office must be located in a designated hub zone area, okay? You remember also too, your 35% of your employees must reside in a designated hub zone area. That can be in the same hub zone area, doesn't matter. Just as long as it's in a designated hub zone area. It can be in another state, just as long as it's in a designated hub zone area, okay? And I hope that makes sense. Just as long as it's in that interactive map, because I kept harping on that, folks. Go to that interactive map. That is going to tell you definitively whether or not an area or your employees, based upon their residence address, is in a designated hub zone area. Okay, so they can be co-located together, or they can be in a neighboring state. Just so long, at the end of the day, that it's in a designated hub zone via that portal.
Okay, and then we have, what are some of the challenges in maintaining certification? What are the requirements to maintain certification?
Well, some of the challenges, and again, remember it was not an exhaustive list. Okay, here's some of the challenges, okay, that the program has been a part of. Now, Paul, I want to make sure I understand that question. Are they speaking about from their standpoint as a potential or a HUBZone participant, or are they just talking about the HUBZone program itself?
I think they're talking about maintaining their own HUBZone certification, kind of like what you were saying, where they changed to a 1-year renewal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And just so you know, and if I didn't make that mention in my presentation, there's really no expiration date for HUBZone, just as long as you maintain the requirements. Okay. You know, obviously you residing in a designated HUBZone area, that your principal office is in a designated HUBZone area. That's going to be pretty much like the crux of it. With regards to just maintaining the SBA standards with regards to that. And also you must continue to be a small business, okay? There's no way that you can participate in any of the SBA programs if you're other than small, okay? Hence its name. Naming conventions, a small business administration, okay? So definitely keep those things in mind. As long as you put a check, continue to keep a check in those boxes, you don't have to worry about, okay, there's an expiration date of some sort. Now, here's the only thing else that, let me just add this on there, you know, after June of 2023, because right now the maps are frozen, okay? So you're good to go, okay? But however, when that census is finally completed, you know, that information that they draw from that and that data that they input, they're going to use that to build onto those maps, okay? Now, there could become a time where an area is no longer considered a redesignated area. And on a larger scale, folks, that's a good thing because that means that area is no longer a distressed community. Okay. So again, you remember what we talked about where it kind of links everything together, if you will, here on this slide. This is what that program is all about. Okay. So if that does happen to be the case, it's not like you automatically are kicked out. It will probably take a little bit of time because remember what I shared with you, the federal government is a huge machine. So it may take a little time and you will get some type of a notice, okay, that, hey, listen, your area that you're in is no longer or it has been redesignated or is no longer a designated HUBZone area. So you will not be caught off guard with regards to that. You should get notification with regards to that.
Okay, thank you. And then we've got two questions from Diana Foster. The first one is, if her HUBZone employee is remote, how does that work? It says, as a HUBZone employee, must they all be in the same zone? Well, you just answered that, but can her employees be remote as long as the employee resides in a HUBZone?
I would say yes to that, but let's do this like in terms of just kind of covering ourselves. You remember what I talked to you about the open call that they hold every Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as the email address. Bring that back up here. Here, okay. Those will be ideal questions to get it directly from the horse's mouth, if you will, that program office to get you a definitive answer with regards to that. Now, one thing that I did not share, which is also critically important, folks, particularly with regards to the principal office, okay? It cannot be anything on wheels or a mobile home or anything like that. It has to be a brick and mortar structure. Now, your residence can count as a brick and mortar structure in a designated HUBZone area. But again, I emphasize, you cannot have anything on wheels as your principal office, okay? And I think you can probably kind of follow me on this because here's what happens. You can get somebody, and I'm not saying this for everybody, but you sometimes you have some bad actors out there, okay? They will go and get a mobile home, get anything that's on wheels, set it up in a designated HUBZone area, check off the box on that, and then submit their application, get a HUBZone contract, okay? And get the contract and then leave, and then there's nothing that has been done for that area for revitalization, okay? So we don't want to operate in that. So therefore, it is not something that you want to be doing. And just kind of keep in mind that it needs to be a brick and mortar structure, okay? Something that is pent down, if you will. And again, your personal residence can count as your principal because we get it. There's a number of businesses start out in their homes, okay? But it just needs to be a brick and mortar structure. And I just want to make sure, even though I did not state that in my presentation, but I want that to be made known, okay?
Okay. And then is there a cohesive hiring service or listing for employees who are located within HUBZones?
Okay, that first part I didn't quite catch. Can you restate that again, Paula?
Is there a cohesive hiring service or a listing for employees who are located within a HUBZone?
No, not that I am aware of. Okay. I am not aware of that other than, if you find an ideal place, if you got an employee, as I've been stating, it's almost like beating a dead horse here, if you will. Go to that interactive map, okay? But if I heard you correct, there's not like a running list or a pool that the SBA, that would be a very daunting task to kind of keep something like that active and relevant, because it'll be a lot of moving parts to try to maintain something like that, and it's a huge effort as well. So to answer your question, the answer would be no, but hey, listen, that could be another question that could be asked to the program office, okay?
Yes.
With regards to that.
Yes, I agree. So then a participant asks, to partner with other companies for HUBZone contracts, must we be certified if we are the ones wishing to partner?
No, and if I understand the question correctly, maybe you can come in as a sub. Okay.
It sounds like it, yes.
Yeah, if they want to come in as a sub, yeah, yeah, obviously, it wouldn't have any bearing on you as a sub. Okay. All the bearing would be on that prime. And hopefully at this point, that prime would be a HUBZone participant, because there's no way that they would be awarded a contract if they were not, they were other than HUBZone participant.
That makes sense.
Okay.
And then someone says, I have a business currently located in a HUBZone, but I'm applying for funding to move. The original plan was to close the current office. However, if I keep the office open part-time and I open a new building the rest of the week, what are the rules for more than one location?
Yeah, that's doable. That's doable. That is doable. Again, not to beat a dead horse, make sure that it's in that interactive map portal that I talked to you about, which is right here, bullet number 2. First thing first, go there first before you, again, like I said, you don't want to be going down a rabbit trail, okay, and wasting time and energy only to find that, I did all of that, put all that time and energy in, and it's not even in a designated HUBZone area via that map. Go there first, folks. Save you some time and be prudent about what you're doing as well. And if you're ever in question, reach out to the program office, okay? And you can also reach out to me because I am the HUBZone liaison for our office. If it's anything that's above me, because I want to make sure that we get good information to you, okay? But again, absent me, you got it right there, this information where you can dial right into the program office and get that answer for yourself as well.
Great. And this is our final question today, Kevin. And it
Sure.
says, how do HUBZones base the 35 percentile size employee to qualify? I think they're saying, how does, and I think the answer is going to be with the residential addresses of the employees.
Right. And here, bullet number 2, or sub bullet, if you will, there's various things that we look at. And again, when your application is going to be vetted by by SBA analyst, okay? Some of the things that they will look at will be like a lease, a driver license, utility bills, et cetera, et cetera. But again, all of that information would be, if it's not readily available, that all of that would be done through the program office should you need to do that, if it's just not clear as mud as you are applying, if that makes sense. Okay. They got other things that they look at, and again, this is not an exhaustive list here because I don't do the vetting of them, but this is some of the information that they do look at. I do know for a fact you need to at least be in a residence, designated HUBZone residence, for at least 180 days, okay? But again, sometimes those things are on a case by case, and that's the very reason why there's a live human analyst that you will be dealing with, because you can have some questions that are, that may not be common, or they may be just specifically to you, and then you will have the opportunity to visit with an analyst to be able to get a question. And again, we can always go back and just raise the question to the program office, okay? Either via email or through the open call.
Okay. That's all I have on my end.
Good deal.
Kevin, this is Dave Shellmeyer again. Thank you so much for sharing this very important information with us. I'd like to say to everybody that's listening out there, this is a great opportunity for small businesses. And I know this is a lot to digest, in one sitting, but the SBDC is here to help. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if I could, Kevin.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and show everybody. This is our contact information again. Like I said, we have Paula Grabowski, who's an expert in helping folks get registered and certified in HUBZone. And she also works with folks on getting women-owned, veteran-owned, minority-owned certifications as well, and Texas Hub. So HUBZone is not the only, the federal HUBZone is not the only certification that you can get. You can get a Texas Hub so that you can vie for Texas state contracts, as well as local, county, city, universities contracts as well. So, and again, I wanted to share with you that we have a live one-on-one event, two of them coming up. One of them is in Longview this afternoon, and it will be at Jodak Office Outfitters. And that address is 2402 Moberly Avenue. And tomorrow afternoon will be at the GW Carver Community Center, and that's at 2302 Holland Street. And Paula Grabowski will be at both locations, and she'll be able to sit down with you one-on-one and determine whether you're located in a hub zone. She'll also be able to talk with you about Texas Hub and the women-owned, veteran-owned, minority-owned certifications as well. So we here at the SBDC can help you, sit down with you and help you get registered and certified. So we're your advocate on this side. Also, as Kevin noted, there are weekly webinars through the SBA that you can join as well. So again, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all this great information with us. And
Dave, if you don't mind, if I could just interject just here real quick, also to your point, and just to kind of add some more leverage to that. And folks, please understand me when I state this to you from the SBA perspective. There is no restrictions. There's no restrictions on how many certifications you can get. There is no restriction in terms of commingling, you know, whether it be at the SBDC level, certification. There's no restriction. The only thing that will be asked of you that you just meet the requirements. If you meet the requirements for any and all of them, the more the merrier. That further increases your opportunities for those types of contracts. Okay, so there is no restrictions with regards to that, other than just following what the requirements are for the respective programs, if you will. Okay.
thank you for clarifying that, Kevin. And I think with this, that'll wrap up our webinar for today. Again, you see our phone number on the screen. Please give us a call if you have any additional questions, or you've gotten Kevin's information as well. Give Kevin a call. We would love to work with you and help you get certified, and hopefully can help you win some federal contracts. So again,
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you, sir. All right. Y'all have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.